When people talk about black wealth in America, the conversation usually circles back to celebrities and athletes. A rapper with a chain, a basketball player with a shoe deal. But in Houston, real power has been built very differently. Behind the headlines, black-owned businesses have quietly scaled into banks, construction empires, energy companies, investment firms, and hospitality brands that shape the city's entire economy. These are not side hustles or lifestyle brands. These are institutions, some with decades of history, controlling contracts, capital, and long-term influence across one of the most competitive markets in the country. This story is not about hype or a single overnight success. It is about scale and ownership, built in a city where the oil runs deep and the ambition runs deeper. Today we are breaking down the largest and most influential black-owned businesses shaping Houston's economic power. And the empire sitting at number one once generated over $2 billion in annual revenue and was ranked the number one black-owned business in the entire United States. Number 10, Wandere Hospitality Group. Deidre Mathis. We begin with a business that is relatively young, but represents a seismic shift in how black women are claiming ownership in one of the most exclusive industries on earth. For decades, the hotel business operated like a members-only club. Black people could staff the front desk or turn down the beds, but they almost never held the deed. Deidre Mathis rewrote that script with a single bold move. In 2018, she became the first black woman in the United States to own and operate a boutique hostel. Wandere Houston is not just a place to crash for the night, it is a proof of concept. She recognized that the modern traveler, especially millennials and Gen Z, was not looking for sterile corporate lobbies. They wanted culture, community, and affordability, and she delivered all three. But the real play here is real estate. While many young entrepreneurs chase digital trends and drop shipping margins, Mathis bought dirt and bricks. She navigated the brutal world of commercial financing, a sector where black women receive less than 1% of all funding, and secured the capital to own her property outright. She has since expanded from a hostel model into a boutique hotel concept, positioning herself to capture Houston's massive convention and international travel traffic. She represents the new guard, educated, global-minded, and building asset-heavy businesses from the ground up. The hospitality industry has long been one of the most reliable wealth generators in America. Mathis understood that owning the building matters more than managing it. And in a city that attracts millions of visitors every single year, that bet on ownership is looking smarter by the quarter. Number 9, Noire Urban Wineries. Kenneth and Carissa Stevens. If Wandere represents the new hospitality, Noire represents the new luxury. For generations, the wine industry was the exclusive playground of old European families and Napa Valley aristocrats. It was a world designed with velvet ropes. But in downtown Houston, Kenneth and Carissa Stevens decided it was time to pull up a chair. Noire is Houston's first black-owned winery with a physical tasting room planted in the heart of the city's business district. They did not just slap a label on a bottle, they became students of the craft, sourcing premium grapes from Lodi, California, and producing award-winning varietals that go toe-to-toe with established vineyards. Their genius is in the business model. Instead of sinking millions into farmland, they brought the winery experience to the urban core and built a membership-based wine club that creates recurring revenue and a loyal ecosystem. Their tasting room has become a quiet power hub where black professionals, doctors, attorneys, and energy executives close deals over a glass of something exceptional. They are not just selling wine, they are selling sophistication, access, and a reclamation of luxury that excluded black consumers for far too long. Noire proves that black wealth in Houston is evolving beyond survival into refinement and cultural ownership. Number 8, The Breakfast Club. Marcus Davis. In every city, there is one business that transcends its balance sheet to become a cultural institution. In Houston, that business is the Breakfast Club. To call it a restaurant would be to miss the point entirely. It is the unofficial town hall of Black Houston. Founded by Marcus Davis, this midtown establishment is legendary not just for its catfish and grits, but for its sheer economic velocity. We are talking about a restaurant pulling in millions annually, with lines stretching around the block every single morning, rain or shine. In an industry known for razor-thin margins and brutal failure rates, Davis built a machine that prints money. But Marcus Davis is far more than a restaurateur. He is a political power broker. When mayors need the black vote, they come to the Breakfast Club. When senators swing through Houston, they sit in his booths. When presidential candidates campaign in the fourth largest city in America, they stop here first. Davis has leveraged that influence to fight gentrification and champion economic development in black neighborhoods across the city. He expanded into upscale concepts like Culture, a fine dining space that celebrates the African diaspora, and the Reggae Hut. But the core of his wealth remains that original establishment. Davis proved that you do not need a Michelin star to build a culinary empire. You need consistency, culture, and community. He figured out something that restaurant chains spend billions trying to replicate. If the food is honest and the environment feels like home, people will line up before sunrise and never stop coming. He turned comfort food into a high-margin enterprise that anchors an entire district. Number 7. 13. James Harden. When NBA superstars open restaurants, the results are usually vanity projects. A name on a door while a management company runs the kitchen. James Harden's 13 is a different animal entirely. This is not a sports bar with signed jerseys on the wall. This is a high-end fine dining operation built to compete with the most exclusive steakhouses in the city. Located in Midtown, 13 is a declaration of intent. Harden planted a flag in Houston's hospitality scene during his prime years as a Rockets legend, and the venue delivers with custom interiors, a hookah lounge, and a menu that fuses Southern comfort with global luxury. But beyond the ambiance, 13 represents the modern athlete-investor model. Harden is part of a generation of black athletes who refuse to be just employees. They are becoming owners. The restaurant creates jobs, generates significant tax revenue, and serves as a permanent brand anchor in the city, keeping Harden connected to Houston's economy long after his trade to other teams. It is where the new money of the NBA sits down with the old money of the oil patch. And that intersection, that blending of worlds, is exactly what makes Houston's wealth landscape so different from anywhere else in the country. Number 6, Rap-A-Lot Records, the Prince family. Now we shift from polished dining rooms to the raw, unfiltered power of the streets. You cannot have a conversation about money in Houston without mentioning James Prince and Rap-A-Lot Records. Jay Prince is not a traditional CEO. He's a godfather. Founded in the mid-1980s, Rap-A-Lot did not just put Houston on the hip-hop map. It created an independent economic blueprint that the entire music industry tried to replicate. While other labels were signing exploitative deals with New York and Los Angeles corporations, Prince kept his operation independent. He kept his masters. He kept his publishing. Every time a Ghetto Boys record spun or a Scarface album moved, the revenue stayed in Houston. But the label was just the engine. Prince used music capital to diversify into real estate, ranching, boxing management, and automobile dealerships. At one point, he managed top-tier boxing talent, negotiating multi-million-dollar fight purses in Las Vegas. His net worth is estimated in the tens of millions of dollars, but his influence is incalculable. He operates as a shadow governor of the culture, settling disputes, creating opportunities for young men in the Fifth Ward that society had written off, and protecting his ecosystem with a combination of respect and fear that has kept him dominant for 4 decades. Jay Prince proved that you do not need a Harvard MBA to build a dynasty. You need vision, guts, and the ability to hold your ground when the sharks start circling. He turned a local record label into a multi-generational wealth vehicle that feeds his family and his community to this day. We are halfway through this list, and the numbers are about to get serious. We are moving from millions to hundreds of millions. If this story is opening your eyes to the depth of real black wealth and power in America, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We are dedicated to digging up the stories that mainstream media overlooks. Now let us get back to the countdown. Number 5, Unity National Bank, the Lawal and Wiley families. Money is power, but the bank is the battery that stores it. Unity National Bank is the most critical financial institution in Black Texas. Founded in 1963 and chartered in 1985, Unity is the only Black-owned bank in the entire state. Let that sit for a moment. In a state with one of the largest Black populations in the country, this institution stands alone. But it stands tall, with assets hovering around $200 million. The bank has been steered by some of Houston's most powerful families, providing capital to people and businesses that mainstream banks reject. When a Black family gets turned away by a major lender for their first home, Unity opens the door. When a Black contractor needs financing for equipment to land a city contract, Unity writes the check. Running a Black bank is a war of attrition against systemic undercapitalization and economic shocks that hit Black communities first and hardest. Yet Unity has survived decade after decade. In recent years, the institution has attracted significant investments from giants like Bank of America and JP Morgan Chase, corporations that finally acknowledged that supporting Black banks strengthens the entire American economy. Unity is not just a business, it is a shield. It ensures that capital circulates within the community instead of being extracted from it. The executives who steward this bank are the gatekeepers of a dream, managing millions of dollars in deposits and loans that fuel the barbershops, the churches, the small contractors, and the first-time homeowners that make Houston what it is. Number 4, Chase Source. John Chase. Now we enter the realm of industrial-scale corporate services. Chase Source is a company most people have never heard of, but it likely impacts their paycheck. Founded by John Chase, this firm is one of the nation's leading staffing and recruitment operations, generating annual revenues that have topped $50 million. Chase built his empire on a simple truth. Companies need people, and they need them yesterday. In a city home to dozens of Fortune 500 companies, the demand for talent is relentless. But Chase did not stop at staffing. He diversified into real estate and supply chain management, understanding that the real money is not always in doing the work yourself. Sometimes it is in being the bridge between labor and capital. His firm has locked down massive contracts with government agencies and private sector giants, navigating minority business procurement with surgical precision. What makes Chase Source so powerful is its scalability. Unlike a restaurant with fixed seats or a hotel with a set number of rooms, a staffing firm can expand infinitely without proportional overhead. Every new contract is margin on top of an existing infrastructure. John Chase has used that leverage to become a fixture in Houston's business elite, sitting on major boards, influencing city policy, and mentoring the next generation of Black executives. He proved that the most unglamorous businesses often generate the most wealth. Nobody writes songs about staffing firms, but staffing firms sign the checks that keep the music playing. Number 3, Smith Graham and Company. Gerald Smith. If you want to know where the real money is, follow the people who manage the investments. Smith Graham and Company is an asset management firm that has overseen billions of dollars. Founded by Gerald Smith, this operation does not deal in retail checking accounts. It manages capital for institutional heavyweights, pension funds, endowments, central banks, and United States government agencies. When people talk about institutional capital, they are talking about Gerald Smith's world. He is widely recognized as one of the sharpest financial minds in the country. He launched the firm in 1990, a period when Black-owned asset managers were treated with deep skepticism by the white-dominated financial establishment. Smith obliterated that skepticism the only way it can be obliterated, with performance. His firm specialized in fixed income and delivered returns that competed with the biggest names on Wall Street, cycle after cycle, year after year. Today, Smith Graham manages close to $1 billion in assets and has historically managed considerably more depending on market conditions. Gerald Smith himself is a pillar of the community, having chaired the Texas Southern University Foundation and served on the board of New York Life. By managing pension funds, they are safeguarding the retirement futures of thousands of teachers, firefighters, and city workers. These are people who will never meet Gerald Smith, but whose golden years depend on his judgment calls. This is high-stakes finance, at the highest altitude, and Gerald Smith plays it with the precision of a surgeon who has been in the operating room for 3 decades. Number 2, the Lewis Group of Companies. Sherman Lewis. The numbers are getting massive now. The Lewis Group reported annual revenues of $300 million in 2024. Let that number breathe for a moment. $300 million. Founded by Sherman Lewis, this company is the definition of bootstrapped industrial power. Lewis started with environmental services, cleaning up oil spills, handling hazardous waste, and managing industrial construction. In a city that runs on petroleum, environmental services are not optional. They are mandatory. Every refinery, every pipeline, every offshore platform needs someone to manage the mess. Lewis positioned himself as the go-to problem solver for the energy sector, but he refused to stay in one lane. The Lewis Group expanded into real estate development, facilities management, and general construction. They build the infrastructure that keeps Houston functioning. They have secured contracts with major universities, city governments, and federal agencies, the kind of long-term institutional relationships that generate revenue for decades. Sherman Lewis represents the classic American builder, a man who identified the difficult, dirty jobs nobody else wanted and executed them better than anyone in the market. A $300 million revenue stream places the Lewis Group in the upper echelon of black-owned businesses nationwide, not just in Houston. They employ hundreds of workers, converting blue-collar positions into middle-class livelihoods for families across the state of Texas. This company is living proof that black wealth is not confined to entertainment or finance. It thrives in hard hats, heavy machinery, and the unglamorous infrastructure that keeps a city of millions running every single day. Number 1, the Lawal family empire, CAMAC, Unity, and Aeron Energy. And now we arrive at the summit, the largest, most historically significant black business force in Houston, and arguably the entire American South, is the empire constructed by Kase Lawal. Lawal is not merely a businessman. He's an oil tycoon in the fullest sense of the word. Born in Nigeria and educated in the United States, he founded CAMAC International in 1986, initially trading in tobacco and agricultural products. But Lawal's vision extended far beyond farming. He saw the vast petroleum reserves of Africa and the insatiable energy appetite of America, and decided to become the bridge between both worlds. It was a gamble that required not just capital, but cultural fluency, political sophistication, and the nerve to walk into rooms where no one expected to see him. Through the 1990s and the 2000s, CAMAC detonated. Lawal secured oil exploration rights that Western majors like Shell and Exxon struggled to obtain, because he understood the politics, the culture, and the relationships that opened doors on the African continent. He did not try to compete with the super majors on their terms. He created his own terms and forced the industry to meet him there. At its peak, CAMAC International was generating over $2 billion in annual revenue. For years, it sat at the very top of the Black Enterprise 100 list, dethroning household names and redefining what black business scale could look like on the global stage. While the energy market is volatile and the company evolved through various iterations, including the publicly traded Aeron Energy, which faced significant headwinds and restructuring, the Lawal family's wealth and influence remained foundational to Houston's black economy. Lawal continues to serve as chairman of Unity National Bank, using his personal capital to sustain the institution through the toughest cycles. That connection between number 1 and number 5 on this list tells you everything about how power works in Houston. The man who drilled for oil in Africa also protects the bank that lends money to first-time homeowners in the 3rd Ward. That is not just wealth, that is an ecosystem. The Lawal holdings represent a level of fortune that operates on almost sovereign terms. Private aviation, diplomatic connections that span continents, and a contact list that includes heads of state and industry titans across dozens of nations. Kase Lawal demonstrated that a black man could compete in the most capital-intensive, cutthroat industry on the planet, big oil, and command respect at the highest table. His legacy is complex, enormous, and undeniable. He funneled billions of dollars through Houston, created hundreds of high-paying positions, and demolished the ceiling on what was possible for a black immigrant entrepreneur in America. From Deidre Mathis's boutique hotels to Sherman Lewis's construction cranes, and finally to Kase Lawal's oil rigs, these businesses tell the story of a city where ambition has no ceiling. These entrepreneurs did not just generate revenue, they generated history. They built banks that protect communities, restaurants that shape politics, investment firms that safeguard retirements, and energy companies that compete on the global stage. Houston is not just the energy capital of the world, it is quietly becoming one of the most important cities for Black economic power in America. And the men and women running these institutions are the reason why. Which of these business titans impressed you the most? Was it the industrial grit of the Lewis Group or the audacity of the Lawal oil empire? Let us know in the comments below. And if you want to keep seeing deep dives into the untold stories of Black wealth, make sure you hit that subscribe button and like the video. We are building the ultimate archive of Black excellence, and we want you with us for the ride. We will see you in the next one.